Hi there, it's Sherry Kaler with a new yoga breath practice for you today. This is one I actually learned in a really unconventional place, and that's a story I'm going to share after I share this breath practice. But before I get going with either of those, if you can take a moment, especially if you find these videos helpful at all, please take a moment, press that little like button down there. And while you're pressing buttons, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please make sure to do that so you don't miss any new videos from me, whether they are breath practice or movement practice or looking at different yoga props and things you could use around your house instead of buying a yoga prop. Or guided meditations. I do live classes most Thursday mornings at 10. I alternate between yoga in chairs and yoga with a chair for support. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Now, on to this breath practice. This, as I said, I learned it in an unconventional place, which I'll share at the end, so please hang out for that. But I don't have a special name for it, right? The person who taught it to me did not say this is a stepped breath or a square breath or any of those little names. They just taught me this breath. And what they taught me is what I have come to call the double exhale. And what they taught me was that I want a big, full inhale for a count of 5. And I don't have a clock set up. I'm not looking at my second hand to count 1, 2, 3, right? Actual seconds. I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's usually the cadence I use when I'm counting in yoga. Key is to get it to be big because, as the name hints, you want to stretch that 5 count inhale out possibly all the way to 10. At least 8 if we can, possibly 10. And so that means that your exhale needs to be slow. It needs to linger like it's a conversation with one of your best friends that you just don't want to ever end. Right? So try that. First, take a couple of deep breaths with me. And this inhale doesn't have to be really loud. You don't have to make it sound like Ujjayi breath or any tension to it, just big. And then a slow, lingering exhale. It should feel like you are breathing all the way out. Your diaphragm and abdomen are lifting up to get the last of that exhale out at that end of the 10. And then the big inhale flows right in. One of the many things I like about this is that the long, lingering exhale we're doing helps to settle our nervous system if it's in that activated state of fight, flight, collapse, and moves us a little more towards equilibrium. So we are a little more grounded. We're getting in a little bit more of a deeper breath with this too. So it's really great for us to practice this breath. It's also one I like to joke a lot about stealth yoga. Like, this is a breath practice, unless that inhale is really noisy, no one really notices you're doing a yoga breath practice here. You could be in a waiting room, perhaps feeling anxious about some appointment about to happen, and you're going to do this breath practice. And unless someone really watches closely, which would be a little odd, no one knows you're just doing yoga breath practice. You're trying to help yourself feel grounded and calmed. You can do this one seated, like I am seated on a little meditation bench on a cushion. You could do this lying down. You can do it walking, standing. And it's really a versatile breath practice. So Try around another round here with me of double exhale. So it helps to start it by breathing out all the way. Just that. Big full breath in, a breath, count of five, count of five, and then this slow lingering exhale out, maybe to a count of 8 or 10. And that's double exhale. It's such a great breath practice. And if you're still here with me here at the end, now I will tell you the really unexpected story, because you probably would expect me to tell you that I learned this in a session, a yoga therapy training session on respiratory interventions, or I learned this from my teacher. No, I learned this at a United States post office last summer. And part of the reason I was given the opportunity to learn this is I don't always have this visible, but my right leg, the year I turned 40, I had tattooed, and these bands are the first, second, and third of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras in Sanskrit. And as you can see, they take up much of my lower leg. And I kind of almost forget about them because I've had them for almost 17 years now, going on 17. And in the height of summer, though, right? I'm often wearing shorts, or sometimes I wear a skirt. But what that means is my lower leg is visible, and so summer comes around, and I'm reminded my lower leg is covered almost entirely with Sanskrit words. And the majority of people where I live in Portland, Oregon, don't read Sanskrit. An everyday occurrence. People come up and ask me all the time. They can tell it's language. They'll ask, what language is it? Is it writing? Is it, what does it say? But periodically, I run into someone who speaks Sanskrit, reads Sanskrit, who is American Indian, born here, or a person who has moved here from India, usually is who can read my leg and who can read Sanskrit. And when that happens, they know that it's the Yoga Sutras, and they will ask me, well, you must practice yoga. And then I'll say, oh, I'm a yoga therapist. And usually that will be often the end of the conversation. They'll just nod and be like, oh, that makes sense. That's why you have Patanjali's Yoga Sutras tattooed on your leg. And we move on. But last summer, I was at the post office to send off a piece of artwork to go to Italy for an open call for a big installation. And I was popping by the post office because I wanted to make sure it got enough postage and it wasn't delayed at all. Got there as quickly as possible. And it was actually a pretty busy day. And I went up to the counter, and the post office clerk was someone who originally moved here, originally was from India and lives here now and can read Sanskrit. And they had seen me in line and had seen I was going to come to them. And much to my surprise, because it was actually a busy day at the post office, there's quite a few people. We did the exchange, we favored the thing. And then before I could leave, I was saying, thank you. They stopped at me and they were like, I saw your leg. Tell me what yoga means. And this is not a short question, but it can be. And I, at first, because I was aware there was probably 6 people in line behind me, busy day at the post office. And so at first I gave the short answer. The word yoga in Sanskrit, a Sanskrit word yoga, means union. And I tell you, folks, I could almost hear the sad trombones, because this person, and I say he, but could be a they looked at me and kind of a little head and gave me kind of a disappointed look. I had given the white person who has taken yoga and is teaching it, but does not really understand it answer. And they looked at me and gave me that look, and I felt a little defeated. And I also felt like they are asking me genuinely. They know how long the line is, they can see it. They're asking me a genuine question. So I nodded and I looked at them and I said, I gave you the shortcut answer. And I'm like, and that's really, it's not actually. And I'm like, I also gave you the answer that white people teaching yoga are more comfortable saying, which is that the word yoga means union. The word yoga actually more accurately is translated as yoke, like a yoke that is put on the back of oxen to till a field. That kind of yoke. A yoke that is balanced over the shoulders of a human so that they may carry a heavier load. And that word yoke is seen as like something that is like a burden and is tying you down, but it's not. It's meant to be a tool that helps you carry the burden and a tool that helps you work more effectively. And the idea of a yoke used with animals to plow a field, that is a tool that is like the tool of discernment, viveka, and it can cut more effectively when you use the right tool, the yoke. And the yoke, what it's bringing together are these practices that are spiritual and physical, right? And energetic. And they're bringing all of these things together, as well as practices of ethical living, and giving you a way of being in the world. That's what yoga is. It is a yoke that ties your wandering mind and your busyness to a practice that makes you more effective and more discerning. So I gave that answer. And when I finally gave that answer, the right answer, the answer that showed that I actually do really study yoga and I really practice it and I think about it and I feel it in my heart. When I gave that answer, the postal office clerk gave me a little smile. And as someone who plays video games, I felt like I had just done something and the Easter egg happened, this unexpected thing. And they smiled at me and proceeded, even though there was still a line, to teach me this breath practice that I just taught you that I call double exhale. And they said, how many breath practices you know? And I'm like, I know a lot of breath practices. And they're like, that's not surprising. You said you were a yoga therapist. And they said, you have all these other practices, but this one practice, this is all you need. This is it. And, try it out. Try out double exhale. And maybe it is the only practice you need. I will say, as a person who knows alternate nostril breathing, box breath, square breath, stepped breath, Viloma Pranayama, all these breath practices for grounding. The one I actually go to since learning it a year ago is this. It is. It's so grounding. I feel my, anxiety at being in the world come up because I'm a person who lives, a neurodivergent person who lives under capitalism and a queer person. And so there's a lot. And when I feel that, here I come back to double exhale. I'm getting a bigger inhale, and that slow, slow exhale brings my heart rate down, makes me feel like I am more present and grounded in the world. So I hope you like it too. And I hope if you're still here, you enjoyed my story of the unconventional way I learned this wonderful breath practice. And I hope it is a reminder that sometimes, even if it's busy, sometimes we shouldn't choose the shortcut. Sometimes we should choose the longer, genuine connection because it's the Easter egg. It's what gets us the magic ticket. And something wonderful happens when we do it. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy this breath practice. Again, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, take a moment, click that little subscribe button so you do not miss any videos like this one or all different kinds of practices. add a like there if you like this video, and a comment, particularly if you try this out. How does it work for you? How do you feel it in your body when you practice the double exhale? Thanks so much, everyone. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we all find peace.